Hey everybody, good afternoon. Today is Wednesday, April the 22nd, 2020 at 3 o'clock p.m. Eastern time and noon Pacific time. I hope everybody out there is healthy and safe right now. And I want to extend a special thank you as always to our doctors, nurses, and essential services people who are working so hard and putting themselves in harm's way to help us all get through this. And also thank you to everybody who's staying home right now and heeding the precautions to get us back on track. Our world truly is changing right now, minute by minute and hour by hour. And since every real estate market is different, I'm joined today by a star cast of agents from across the country to talk about what we're seeing in the different markets. If you do have any questions, leave them in the comments with this video and we will get you answers as quickly as possible. So welcome to our cast of folks today. Today I have from the Palm Desert in sunny California, Janice Glaab with Binion DeVille Homes. Hey Janice. And from beautiful Miami Beach, Florida, Larry Hughes with Coldwell Banker. And from our nation's capital of Washington, D.C., David Shotwell with Compass Realty. Hey everybody, thank you guys so much. It's wonderful to see everybody today. I'm going to flip back here real quick. Today, our panelists, I want you guys to introduce yourselves, tell us a little bit about you, how long you've been in the business, your area of expertise. So let's start first with you, Larry Hughes from Miami Beach.
I'm Larry Hughes, a cool banker in Miami Beach. I've been a realtor for 22 years now. Work mostly in the beaches area, like Miami Beach, Aventura, Sunny Isles, those sort of areas. Predominantly do a large amount of condos, and yeah, so I'm working from home today.
Thank you, Larry, and thank you for joining us. All right, Janice Glaab from Palm Desert, California. Tell us about yourself, dear.
Hi guys, I'm from Palm Desert. I say Palm Desert, it's the Palm Springs area, the greater Palm Springs area, which is called the Coachella Valley, and it covers Palm Springs, Cathedral City, Rancho Mirage, Palm Desert, La Quinta, and Indio, and some of the Desert Hot Springs. It's a little north of the freeway. So that's the Palm Springs area. I've been doing real estate for about 6 years, and I specialize in, it's a second home market. So I specialize in folks that are looking to change, upgrade or downgrade their vacation situation. But a lot of people, the market's becoming more and more families moving to the area to put their kids in school. It's becoming less vacation and more full-time residents. So that's just a little bit about my market.
All right, and David Shotwell from Washington, D.C., sir. Tell us about yourself.
Hi, everyone. David Shotwell with Compass Real Estate here in the nation's capital. Given that we're in Washington, D.C., we're a fairly small geographic area. I'm actually licensed in all 3 jurisdictions, so I sell in Northern Virginia, suburban Maryland, as well as DC. I've been a full-time agent for about 8 years now and work with all types of buyers and sellers from the low 100s to the multi-million-dollar price points. So I'm happy to be here today.
Awesome. Thank you, David. And thank you for joining us. And for those who don't know, I'm Brew Krebs from Atlanta, Georgia. I work the in-town Atlanta real estate market where things are changing day by day. And really, guys, in our world, we're seeing a lot of changes now, aren't we? Let me ask you guys, and I'm going to kind of go through and ask you, I guess, individually, and we can kind of talk together. I've got us all up on gallery view on Facebook and stuff, so everybody's seeing all of us at the same time right now. So with all our changes in the marketplace, in each of the markets, what are you guys seeing different than we were seeing 60 days ago? David, why don't we start with you?
Sure. So as I mentioned, I'm licensed in all 3 jurisdictions, DC, Maryland, and Virginia. I guess the good thing is that all 3 jurisdictions have named real estate as essential services. So we are still able to do our job, albeit in a very different way. So we're still out showing properties. We're doing it with gloves and masks and booties on our feet and hand sanitizers and wipes with us. So it's definitely a new day in selling real estate given COVID-19 situation. Specifically, from a kind of market statistics perspective, the first 2 weeks of April, we're down about 50% as far as the number of listings, and properties that have gone under contract are down about 40%.
Wow, you got to go pretty big pretty big jump. Do you attribute most all that just to the COVID-19, or we see that as?
No, it's absolutely because of COVID-19. I mean, we have a very strong, typically a very strong spring selling season, and we would typically be at the pretty peak of that right now. And so when the stay-at-home orders came through, we definitely saw a drop off in the number of listings, and some buyers decided to hold out and wait until we at least are through the stay-at-home orders. So.
Gotcha. So Larry Hughes from Miami Beach, how about you? What you guys seeing different over in beautiful Miami?
Yeah, that was also seeing a drop in the amount of closed sales, about 50%, and a number of new contracts, sales contracts that are gone pending has gone down about 37%. But the good thing is, like in the last week, we've seen an increase. Mm-hmm. So I guess when the politicians are talking about in the near future of opening up the economy, all of a sudden got a uptick on the amount of pending sales that we got. So, but it is challenging showing properties here, especially in condo buildings, because a lot of the condo buildings have the large ones have made rules preventing any guests or anyone from coming into the building, only the owners. So it's obviously making it difficult for us realtors to get buyers in there.
So it's really different. I mean, but you're starting to see things tick up now that everybody's starting to see a light at the end of the tunnel, I guess, in Miami.
Right, since they've been talking about it. But okay. I had a showing a week ago in a condo, and I said to the seller, we have somebody who wants to take a look at it. So what we did is, and they didn't want anybody to come in, which I could kind of understand. And so I set up a Zoom meeting, sort of like this. Mm-hmm. So invited the buyer, the buyer's agent, myself, so we're all on the meeting, and the buyer took his phone and then walked around the property and showed the property. And then we said, oh, can you go back in this room? And he did. So we were all in different areas, and it was very different.
So that brings me to you, Janice. You guys had probably the most severe lockdown, I think, of any of us so far. What are you seeing out there in California?
Well, interestingly, it's kind of confusing because the governor's given the statewide lockdown, and he's sticking to his guns as far as it not being safe to reopen quite yet. However, some of the counties are taking upon themselves to open parks. Much like everybody else, our business just took a tank right when the stay-at-home orders happened. It kind of stood still. Mm-hmm. And but just like Larry said, and David actually, in the last week, we've seen an uptick in, I just got an offer in on one of my higher end listings just yesterday. And I have a couple of showings coming on. So I feel like people are now realizing, okay, we have a plan. So now that we have a plan to bring the economy back, it may not be pretty, but it's a plan. People are beginning to see things again. But California has deemed real estate an essential service as well, because it's 30% of the gross domestic product. And so, escrow companies are open, title companies are open, recorder's office are closed, but they do things electronically. So nothing's really, people aren't going into escrow to sign documents. They're doing more mobile notaries, but that works fine. But so things are selling, they're just selling more slowly. We also have, I think different than the other states, leave it to California, but we have COVID-19 forms. When COVID-19 first happened, it was one form for purchases. Now we have about 7 forms, and every time we show a house, this is statewide, we are supposed to fill out a property entry advisory form. The buying agent has to have it filled out by the buyer for each home they see and submit that. So it gets a little complicated. I have to do an amendment to all my listings. So with California, we're also giving buyers the opportunity to say, you know what, if this impacts me, I have the right to back out of a transaction. So it is providing some relief to those buyers who think they're going to be okay, but not sure. They can actually move forward and still have the option, if they lose their job in 2 months, to back out of the transaction. But it's just beginning to pick up, just like the other two. It was dead, but it was really, really slow. We're down probably 40% right now, 50%. Mm-hmm. Our market tends to be Washington, Oregon, and Western Canada for many, many of our vacationers. and they're not traveling right now, and the Canadian borders are closed. So that part of our market is not happening right now. We still are getting the people from LA, San Diego, and Orange County.
Wow, yeah, so it's a real different world. We're seeing similar things here in Atlanta. I think my March report said we had 19% increase in withdrawals and a 25% less showings. I mean, sorry, less closings, not less showings. We had a lot less showing, especially those first 2 weeks that we fell into the restriction. I mean, pretty much everybody locked themselves in their houses and nobody went everywhere or went anywhere. And like you guys, we're seeing the same thing. We're starting to see things open up. In fact, I just went before this, wrote a new construction contract, and then Monday we had one that closed. So people are, and last week we had another one of our condo listings. And Larry, to your point, yeah, it's gotten a lot different showing the condominiums because everybody's very, very careful. They won't even let us do key releases or anything anymore. So definitely, I guess for all of us, it's a different world, isn't it?
Yeah, but each region has its own rules, so that's kind of gets complicated for buyers.
So let's talk about what changes we're making. And Larry touched on this a little bit earlier, so I'm going to start with him and then we'll circle back around. We've all made changes to our business. What are some of the key things that you're doing to change your business to cope with the issues that we're dealing with not being able to show and not being able to get around people and not being able to get into condo buildings? Larry, you go ahead with first.
Yeah, I just have to think outside the box and, think of different creative ways. And, when my seller told me he didn't want anybody inside the home, I thought, well, it's got to be another way. And, and then on the other hand, I understand, and then I wouldn't want to have the responsibility of bringing a virus into his home, right? Because I understand it could be out in the hallway, somebody just sneezed and I get on my feet and I walk into his property. So I think we just have to be more compassionate and think of what's best for our client and everybody, so everyone stays safe. And if it is, and I think sellers are understanding that they're kind of have to help out with the showings and be the one who shows the property essentially.
All right, Janice, tell me about you, since I know you guys are doing it, but you're starting to roll again. Tell me what you're doing differently.
Yeah. Well, first off, I've called all my listings, and we've had to go over the COVID-19 forms. But part of the phone call is, how are you doing? Where are you in your thought process? I need to do what's right for you because I'm here to help you. If you want to pull your house off the market now, that's what we'll do. If you want to put it on hold, that's what we'll do. I have one listing. They live in New York. They don't want to go back to New York anytime soon. So we're going to put that property on hold because I'm here to help people and I'm here to make sure that they get through this. And if they need to put something on hold or cancel a listing, I get it. We need to do what's right for our clients. But we've started doing, when I call a client to review an offer, we go on Zoom. I bought Zoom. We're doing virtual open houses. We're doing virtual tours. And like I said, we have to sign these forms, these property advisory forms, whenever we have a showing. So, but I'm having a discussion with each of my sellers to say, let's talk about what's going on. I mean, here's what you're hearing. Here's what's going on with the mortgage industry and the lending industry. What's right for you? Because if they are scared and maybe the prices are going to dip, they may dip a little, but then they may dip a lot. So I can't guarantee what's going to happen in the future. So I'm having a conversation with each of my sellers just to see where they are and how they're doing.
So compassion and lots of forums, huh? How about you, David, in DC?
Yeah, I think probably very similar to Janice and Larry. We're seeing a lot more video tours than we ever saw before in my own listings as well. I'm doing the 3D virtual tours, which allow people to, from the comfort of their home or wherever they are, to really visit the home and understand the uniqueness and how they could live in it. And we're really encouraging people to do as much as they can remotely, just for the safety of everyone. And so, we're seeing a lot.
David, I actually purchased a 360-degree program this morning because that's how we're having to do it. We don't encourage people to typically buy homes without seeing the home.
Right.
But now if you do a virtual tour, it works.
And it's really interesting. We're seeing, I have not experienced this myself, but we are certainly seeing in this market people writing offers sight unseen without physically being in the home. I'm actually still showing properties in person. So, we're still allowed to do that in this market. Like Larry, I think some condominium projects here in DC, there are some restrictions, so those we have to deal with separately. But I'm still taking people out and showing properties in person. In fact, right after this call, I have a showing in the neighborhood that I live in. So, it's again, doing it in a way that we can all be safe and protect each other. But, and Janice, you spoke to this. I mean, everyone is in a unique situation. So real estate, you mentioned this as well, is a key driver of the economy. And, people's lives move forward. And so they may be in a situation where they're having to move because of a job. And we have that here in DC. Or they are trying to move to get into a specific school district. We have that with some of my clients here. Or leases are up and they need to either find another rental or maybe buy as a first-time home buyer. So all of this is still taking place. It's just a new way of doing it.
Yeah, and I'm hearing you guys saying the same thing that we're saying: leveraging technology, leveraging technology, leveraging technology. We did a virtual open house, or a couple of them on Sunday, learning how to do that, going through our presentations and doing it on Zoom and dropping it out to people. But the great thing about that is that helps us create tour videos and stuff that we can drop in clients' hands really, really quickly. I discovered this, wow, this is a great way to really help people who can't get to the city or whatever, get the full tour without even being there. And technology, wow, where would we be without Zoom in the last 2 months? I think we'd be all lost. I guess that's the next thing. What are the positive things y'all are seeing come out of all of this? I mean, obviously technology is a huge one.
Well, actually, it's interesting because when you have a buyer, we used to run around town seeing 50 properties or 20 properties or whatever. Now, when you show the virtual tour to the homes, we're just showing the buyers fewer properties. We used to be run around town doing everything for everybody, and now we're not supposed to. Right. So it's actually allowing us to get more work done, and it's allowing us to have our buyers walk through the listings they want to see online with us before we go see it. Yep. So it's actually saving everybody time.
I totally agree. I think it's going to be really interesting to watch what happens when we're back to normal, so to speak. I do think because of the mechanisms that we're all putting in place that we've discussed here today, and consumers their higher comfort level, that I think we're going to see probably a drop in in-person showings and more comfort in doing a lot of virtual and online viewings of properties, and then really hand selecting the couple of properties that most match the needs of that particular buyer.
Yes.
Well, and who else's car is getting 3 weeks to a gallon right now?
I know, right? And gas is going down to almost nothing.
I know. That's a great positive, if you ask me.
I know. But I know, see, in my market, we have a lot of Canadian buyers, and when the price of gas goes down, the Canadian dollar is based on the price of oil. So when our gas goes down, we have fewer Canadian buyers. So it's there's a trade-off there.
You lose some of those guys,
yeah,
huh?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I'm curious to hear from Janice and Larry. Given that both of your markets are very much second home markets, I've been reading that people in cities like DC and probably Atlanta and New York and others that are getting a little itchy being locked inside are thinking about maybe buying that second home. And I'm curious to hear your perspective on if you think there's an uptake now or perhaps going to be an uptake after this.
I think I'm hoping there's going to be uptake after this, because right now people are kind of afraid to move. However, we're hoping that even people in Orange County and San Diego are thinking, I got to do something about getting away once in a while. Right. And, in Palm Springs area, if you've ever driven from Orange County over to Palm Springs, when you drive over and you see the windmills, the famous windmills, there's something about the windmills that brings your blood pressure down. And so we're hoping that people see that and start thinking, yeah, it's time for me to get a second home. So I'm hoping that's the case. Larry?
Well, we have a large international market. So of course, those people can't fly here right now. So, but I think in the similar way, I think people are going to, think about their vacations and a little bit more, a little stronger, and wondering, where can I get that vacation, or maybe a long-term vacation or a permanent vacation, and where I can go same place all the time. But I was going to add to that. I just had a property go under contract with a buyer. We put the closing date as June 30th. So over 2 months away. The buyer owns a restaurant. So it's assuming, the buyer's, the lender is assuming that by then be able to have the restaurant open for hopefully a couple of weeks, and I'll start to see income. So I think the kind of financing is going to be definitely different. It's going to be, on assumptions that they'll for sure still have a job, and I know my mortgage broker I work with, they're checking to make sure they have a job like the day before the closing.
Mhm.
Well, in our market though, it's being a second home market, the folks that buy vacation homes here are the kind of people who probably didn't get laid off. So I think that's going to impact us a little less. However, our feeder markets are changing because of the impact. Is anybody seeing prices go down yet? I haven't either.
No, not in DC. In fact, it's really interesting. I think this initial push of beginning to slow things down got a lot of buyers and even perhaps some sellers that were on the fence to move a little bit more quickly. So we actually saw a little uptick. I think it's going to be interesting to watch over the next several weeks, and when our stay-at-home orders are lifted here in this region, to see what happens. But I actually think there was a lift in the number of people going under contract, because these are buyers that have been waiting, and we've been in such a seller's market in DC that they felt like this might be an opportunity for them to move, to act on something.
People who need to be serious are getting serious at this time, and to be honest with you, I'm kind of seeing that a lot of the people that are falling out are all those people that were kind of like, well, maybe I'll buy a home, maybe I won't buy a home, and they don't want to deal with it. And same thing with the sellers. Oh, maybe I want to sell my house if I can get enough money, sort of thing, and then they drop off. And the serious ones that are out there, the serious people that are looking to buy, and the serious ones that are looking to sell, they're doing exactly what you said earlier, David. They are picking the properties that they want. They're going to look at those. They're narrowing it down. We're not wasting time. Gosh, our environment has to be a lot better with the lack of pollution. I'd love to see what the sky in LA looks like right now, Janice. I don't suppose you could see any of that from where you are.
No, but I can imagine it's much better because I understand it is.
It would have to be.
Very often.
Yeah, it would have to be. I mean, because LA has such a fog that goes in over there. It would have to be a tremendous change.
Yeah.
Well, guys, let me ask you something. If you were to give one or two pieces of advice to our buyers, sellers, customers, friends, anybody who's out there looking, what would those be? Start at the top, Janice. You go first.
Well, think about what you really want. Think about whether the time is right for you to buy or sell. Call an agent and have that discussion with them. Pick an agent that is going to have that discussion with you and to help you make the decision that's right for you. This is a good time to sell because we're not seeing prices go down out here, and it sounds like all the other guys are seeing the same thing. And the buyers are still seriously buying. I've got a buyer that has absolutely, he's on Social Security and he's got a bunch of pensions, and he's still moving forward. So things are still moving. So now is a good time, but you have to make the personal decision about whether the time is right for you.
All right, David, how about you? What's next?
Yeah, I completely agree with Janice. I mean, for a seller client, I would say, again, if this situation or circumstances are right for them, I think it's a good time to sell right now in the DC market. We still have buyers that are active and out there looking for something. We have even less homes for sale right now than we did, just a month or so ago. And again, we were a seller's market even then. So I think it's a great opportunity for a seller to sell. Also, prices have not dropped. We don't anticipate a big drop anytime in the near future. And for buyers, I would say, again, if you're in a situation where buying makes sense for you, we are at historical lows on interest rates. There are probably fewer buyers out there, so there's less competition for you. So I would encourage you also to consider this time, again, if it's right for you, and I'm happy to have a consultation with anyone considering this.
Important to add to that, though, is the lending restrictions have been increased. So the lending institutions, the FHA and VA loans are requiring about 100 points higher in their credit score, in their FICO credit score. Traditional loans are still happening. Non-traditional loans, if you're self-employed, you're probably not going to be able to get a home loan right now. Like I'm a 1099 employee, so I probably, and I'm in business for myself, so I would have to go for a non-traditional loan. So you can't they're not doing stated income loans. And the lending requirements have toughened. So you have to look at that as to whether now is the right time to move forward if you're a buyer as well. I'm sorry.
Sure, and certainly we're seeing in the jumbo space. So in the DC market, that's anything in the 700s and above on a mortgage balance. That's the lending criteria is tightened there, and there's been some funders that have backed out of that. So you're probably looking at a little bit more money down and fewer options in that space. But the rates still are good, even with those. If you're conforming, rates are still low threes, which is amazing in historical lows.
Amazing.
How about you, Larry? Anything you would throw out there to our folks that you would give us suggestions in the marketplace right now?
Just have patience. I mean, right now our market is different. It is a buyer's market.
Mm-hmm.
So we haven't really seen the prices change at the moment because I think like a lot of people sellers are just kind of, frozen and waiting to see what happens.
That's right.
But I think once everything starting to get back to normal, you're going to see more activity from buyers. And but it's still, I mean, there's still a good amount of buyers out there buying for sure. But our inventories has increased since last year. So you have a lot more properties on the market. So it's really, really great options for buyers out there.
Yeah, I agree with you all. And I think, Janice, you hit on a really good point with folks that if you are thinking about buying or selling, you put together your priorities, make a list of what it exactly is that you wanted to look for. Be safe, be careful, wash your hands, and be respectful of other people's situations as well when you're going in and out of these buildings. I know a lot of times it's a little scary even getting in elevators. I know it's a couple of the buildings that I show in, like some of these people, they'll all just cram in the elevator anyway. And of course I won't do that. I'll walk right back out of the elevator. But I think caution and being succinct and being serious right now. Now it's probably not the time for the tire kicking and going and looking at houses frivolously just because you want to look and see what's going on out there.
But the buyers that are out there are serious buyers.
They're very absolutely.
You're having showings and people are looking. If you're looking to sell or you're a seller, you're going to have fewer showings, but they're serious buyers. Same thing out here in the summer when it's 110 degrees out. People who are looking at homes, there are fewer of them, but they're the serious buyers. They are not the looky-loos.
Yeah,
so that's what you're getting today.
Same. I 150% agree with you on our end. Well, Janice, David, Larry, thank you guys all so much for sharing with us today. It's been a great insight, not only for me, hopefully for everybody else out there.
Oh, no, interesting.
And for everybody who's out there, remember, real estate is local and every market is different. So be sure that you're consulting or being referred to an expert in that market for the best advice in the particular situation. Janice, David, Larry, and I work with experts throughout the country every single day. So if you're not in our market, we can help you find the perfect partner no matter where you are, because we do work with these folks and we do stuff through our Tom Ferry networks and stuff like that. So we're all very well connected with the people who are the best in the interest, or in the business. So if you are out there and we're not your particular market, call us and we can put you in the hands with people that can help you like we can in our markets, and get you the right properties and get you the right deals and take care of you, because there's a lot that can happen in a real estate transaction. We see it every day, and it's you got to be protected and you got to be smart. Anything else you guys want to add today?
No, thank you for having me.
Hey, thank you all so much, and thank you everybody for joining us. Have a wonderful day, stay safe, and have great health.
Thank you.
Thank you guys. Have a good day.
Bye bye.